YouTube is live. Close the door. Okay. You ready? Okay. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Below the Yellow Line podcast where me and my co-host, Emily, talk NASCAR Cup Series for hours a week, 3 days a week, and hope somebody will listen. Sonoma happened yesterday, and while it wasn't the most entertaining race, Martin Truex gets the win, his second of the year. And in my opinion, being the points leader, having won 2 races already, he's looking like a true championship contender tonight. Emily, thank you for coming on the show again.
Of course.
What were your overall thoughts on yesterday's Toyota Save Mart 350?
Overall, for me, it didn't go so well. It was kind of boring to watch, and Denny lost and didn't finish. And he was the only one, so.
Not a very fun race for you. Denny looked really well.
I mean, it was entertaining. I'm not going to lie. Like, yeah, there were some good moments to watch, and I enjoyed it. But overall, was it my favorite? No, which I don't typically go for road tracks anyways.
I figured. There wasn't a ton of, there wasn't just a ton of action. I mean, Martin Truex got the win. Kyle Busch looked like a contender at one point. He really was the only guy who had anything for Martin Truex late in this race. The strategy didn't really have a chance to play out because there was a caution at about the midway part of the race that kind of put everybody on the same strategy. And if somebody was on a different strategy, there wasn't a chance for them to capitalize on. I mean, Elliott and Reddick late kind of had a chance. Tyler Reddick took a pretty interesting shortcut that didn't really pan out for him either way. But, yeah, Truex was clearly the best car. I mean, pretty clearly nobody had anything.
No one had a chance. That was pretty evident. There were a couple little moments where you kind of thought someone else might, but overall, no. Truex had it.
Yeah, I think he did too. And, Clint Boyer said it. Martin Truex wins in boring ways. He dominates races. He does not luck his way into wins. He does not show up in the last 20 laps. He'll show up in the first 20 laps, curb stomp your face in, and then, celebrate in victory lane. That's just how he does things. But it's really interesting. This yesterday, it was a decade since his first win at Sonoma in 2013. At that point, it was his second career win. Yesterday, I believe it was career win number 34. And he's also won a championship and obviously a ton of races since that. So to see, I guess, his progression has been really cool. To see him go from not necessarily a nobody, but a mid-pack driver to a year-in, year-out championship contender has been really, really cool. Looking at the results from the Toyota Save Mart 350, again, not a ton to talk about. Zane Smith had a wheel roll off. There was a few times late where you thought someone might challenge Truex. Denny had a very interesting wreck where he just hit the wall. It was weird.
I can't even explain it. It just happened.
He talked about it a little bit on his podcast today, and he kind of admitted, I messed up. That's what I like about Denny. I mean, he's blunt.
He's usually honest.
He's outspoken, but he's not a guy that's just gonna say a bunch of BS and not back it up. I mean, he admitted he made a mistake. You can't ask anything more from him than that. He won stage 1. Kyle Busch won stage 2, the second race this year with no stage cautions. They still awarded stage points, but no stage cautions. How do you think that impacted the race? Do you like, the race not being broken up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does change things, and it makes it, we had some really big chunks of green flag yesterday. That really definitely changes things. And it would have been a different case scenario and wouldn't have necessarily mattered as much had we not been green. So definitely changes the way the race feels.
For sure. And I think the biggest part of that was, the caution for Zane Smith's tire really, like I said earlier, kind of just put the field in a box. It didn't really allow for anybody to pull off a big different strategy, or at least a big different strategy that worked out for him. And there's a few guys in the last restart. You had McDowell. He had a bad pit stop, but, a few guys took tires, and Truex just had the best car. I mean, Elliott and Larson, or Elliott and Reddick, rather, tried to hold him off, and they didn't have anything for him. Truex was on better tires. Kyle Busch got around those two quickly, and then Kyle Busch just had nothing for Truex. But Truex does get the win. Kyle Busch in second, 4 straight top 7s. For Kyle Busch, he's on a roll. as much as Emily probably hates to admit it.
I do.
Joey Logano, 2 straight top 3s. Penske was just awful in the first part of this race yesterday until they picked it up. Ryan Blaney ends up 31st, but he got spun twice in the final 5 laps, but really good run for Joey Logano. Chris Buescher in 4th. He's now 102 points above the cut line. He's ahead of his boss, Brad Keselowski, having a great season. 2 straight really good runs here for him. Chase Elliott in 5th. What did you think about his day? First race back from his 1-race suspension, basically in a must-win spot at this point. What do you think about his performance?
Yeah, I mean, to come back from a suspension and be in top 5, I think is fantastic. While he's still in that must-win situation, I would not be shocked to see that happen in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I thought he could be a contender yesterday. At one point, when he took the lead on that strategy.
He did. He did. We kind of thought he might have it.
Yeah, that would have been a really interesting storyline, but solid 5th, but just didn't have the race-winning speed. He and Larson, it was really surprising to see them just not have anything for Truex at all. AJ Allmendinger, he's on a roll too. 4 straight top 15s, now a top 10. The Dinger, really slow start to the year, but slowly creeping back up into playoff contention, as is Michael McDowell in 7th. That team's picking it up. Kyle Larson, 8th, a little disappointing. He was your win pick. What do you think went wrong yesterday? Just no speed or what?
Yeah, he just kind of wasn't not at the top of his game. He was kind of mid for him. He's usually either towards the front, towards the back.
Yeah, checkers records year.
Yeah, so he just didn't quite pull off towards the top yesterday. So kind of a bummer.
Yeah, this is Kyle Larson's first top 10 of the season. That is not a top 5. It is his first result this year that has either not been either top 5 or a finish outside of 20th after being wrecked or having a mechanical issue. Christopher Bell in 9th, Ross Chastain in 10th. Ross Chastain's first top 10 since April. His last top 10 was on April 30th. What race was April 30th? Talladega. No, that's not right. Richmond, I think. No, that's not. What race was on April 30th? I can't remember. Whatever race was on April 30th. That one.
It was the week. No, it wasn't. No.
It was the week before Kansas.
I'm sorry. Trucks were in Texas, but that's not true. That was April 1st.
Was it? No, wait. I might have. May 7th was Kansas. Did he finish top 10 at Kansas? I can't remember. We're so smart here at the Below the Line podcast. You should email us, by the way, below the line podcast at gmail.com. Oh, okay. Since Kansas, my bad. Darlington was on May 7th last year. I got that mixed around. But first top 10 since Kansas. So, yeah, a month without a top 10, basically, for Ross Chastain. Good for him to falling from grace from the points lead. Solid run. Harvick, 11th. Stenhouse continues his solid year in 12th. Ryan Preece in 13th. Won the ARCA West race, dominated the ARCA West race Friday. William Byron, 14th. Bowman, 15th, creeps his way back into the playoff picture. Only 3 points up right now, but that's still all right. Brad Keselowski, 16th. Bubba, 17th. Hey, as a Bubba fan, I'll take a top 20. He is very slowly, but, it is there. He is very slowly, though, getting better on road courses, and he only lost 1 point to the cut line. Successful day for both my drivers. But it is kind of stressful having both of them on the cut line, so if one of y'all wants to win, that'd be pretty chill. Ty Gibbs, 18th. Austin Dillon, 19th. Corey LaJoie, 20th. LaJoie just runs better than 7. Had his chance in the Hendrick car and sucked, and now he's back to outperforming the 7 car. Justin Haley, 21st. Daniel Suarez, last year's winner. I had my eye on him. I said this is the biggest race of the year for him. 22nd place finish, and now he's outside of the playoffs. What do you make of his day? Missed opportunity, in my opinion.
Definitely missed opportunity. He's kind of in the position where he had to kind of get back to some really good finishes like he was having at the beginning of the year. Really needs to have a win, and he's kind of just starting to slack as the season goes on.
Yeah, just kind of fell flat on his face. Ty Dillon, 23rd. Todd Gilliland, 24th. Oh, Austin Cindric, 25th. I know Penske was terrible yesterday, and they haven't been very good this year overall, but Austin Cindric is just doing a whole lot of nothing. Grant and Fingerner's Cup debut, 26th. Harrison Burton, 27th. Almirola, 28th. That Xfinity win didn't seem to translate into success in the Cup race. Chase Briscoe, another just horrific day, 29th. Josh Bilicki, 30th. Blaney, 31st. He was understandably pretty ticked after yesterday's race. A reporter came up to him and asked him what happened, and he said the 34 just dumped me, quit trying to create controversy. So that's his side of the story. But after being horrible in the first part of this race, climbed back into the top 10, nothing to show for it. Eric Jones, terrible season continues, 32nd. Tyler Reddick, 33rd. He was running in the top 5 late, had a flat tire, took a shortcut around a pit road, got penalized for it. Didn't matter. He was going to have a crap day anyway. But what did you think of his move, Emily? And did NASCAR make the right call to penalize him? I know it didn't matter, but it's still an important precedent to set for later.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he cut part of the track off. He made a move that wasn't fair to the other drivers, and yeah, he deserved it. I mean, it was kind of a smart move in his part to not be driving on a flat through the whole track and waste time and cause a caution and all that, but also not it.
Yeah, I said last night on the YouTube post-race show, Martin Truex should send him a thank you card. If caution comes out, who knows? Who knows what happens?
The penalty?
Pass-through penalty. Had to come down pit road again, which, didn't matter for him.
Yeah.
Zane Smith in 34th had, lost a tire, and that kind of ended his day. Andy Lally, 35th. Denny in 36th. I already talked about his wreck a little bit, but won the pole, won the first stage, was great early on, and then had a bad pit stop and got mired back in the pack. What do you make of DH's day?
Yeah, I mean, he's the only guy that didn't finish the race.
That's not a great stat.
Not a great place to be, but you know what? It could have been worse. So, yeah. I mean, he had some good racing while he wasn't there. So we'll take it.
Yeah. Still earned some stage points on a total wash from a points perspective. And speaking of the point standings, while these load up, I want to tell you all where you can find the podcast. Obviously, you're listening or watching this somehow. So if you're watching this on the Spotter Stand YouTube channel, we're on all major podcast platforms. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, go check out the Spotter Stand YouTube channel. That's the Spotter _ Stand. Obviously, we have every episode of BTYL on there, but also coverage for all 3 NASCAR National Series. Martin Truex with his second win of the year. I talked about him being back to championship form. You know what you need to do to win a championship? Finish first in points. You know where Martin Truex is right now? First in points. See, he leads William Byron by 13, and the points lead has been a rotating door. It was Chastain for a good while, then Byron, then Blaney, and I think Harvick even had it at one point. So, been a rotating. Bowman had it. 7 different guys have led the points this year. Crazy. We haven't seen as much parity in terms of winners, but I was saying last night on the YouTube show that we are still seeing parity. We're just seeing more parity in terms of how many guys look like championship contenders rather than there being 15 guys that you think could win the championship because everybody's so even. That's year 2 of the next-gen car. Truex, Byron, Blaney, Busch, Bell, Hamlin, Logano, Larson, Reddick, Stenhouse. Those are our 10 winners through 15 races. With Martin Truex winning, we now have 4 drivers that won multiple races this year. Truex and Larson have each won 2. Busch and Byron have won 3 apiece. First man in on points, Ross Chastain, plus 173. Kevin Harvick, plus 172, right on his tail, plus 102. That's Chris Buescher beating his boss right now, Brad Keselowski, who's plus 96. Alex Bowman, plus 23. Bubba Wallace, plus 26. There we go. Bowman at plus 3, last man in. Emily, if you want to read all the guys outside the cut line right now, starting with Daniel Suarez reading on that right-hand column.
Daniel Suarez is down 3. Ty Gibbs down 11. Michael McDowell 14. AJ Allmendinger 33. Austin Cindric 39. Corey LaJoie is down 40 points. Justin Haley is down 47 with Todd. What is it?
Gilliland.
Todd Gilliland.
There you go.
Down 52. You never hear his name said much, so you know. Ryan Preece down 62. Eric Almirola 71. Chase Elliott is down 84 points right now, followed by Austin Dillon 108. Harrison Burton 112. Eric Jones 141. Chase Briscoe 148. And Ty Dillon.
There you go.
185.
Well, it's still mathematically possible for all these guys to point their way in, but I would say if you are below, I would say LaJoie based on the point amount, but that car, I just don't think it's realistic. So below Cindric, 39 out or below. So I think 21st or 22nd rather on down, I think you got to win. Preece, Almirola, Elliott, they could point their way in there in good enough equipment. I don't see it happening. Out of all those guys below that threshold, I think Elliott's the most likely, but I think he needs a win. I think he will get it. I think he's too good of a driver.
I truly believe he's going to get a win this season.
Yeah, I feel like he's just too good of a driver to miss out on the postseason, whether he points his way in miraculously, or wins his way in. I do think he will get into the postseason. I think Bubba's okay right now. Another thing that does worry me is, we're kind of past their stretch of big race. I mean, Talladega winning that one would have been huge. But you look at Chicago coming up, you look at Watkins Glen and Indy, road courses are not a strong suit. we still have Pocono, Michigan, Nashville, Atlanta. Those are tracks where they can be really good, but I'm just a little worried about this upcoming stretch of races for him. I think Bowman's going to hit his stride again, getting more comfortable in the car. I think he'll point his way in pretty easily. Suarez can. He has flashes at some points, but there are days like yesterday where he just runs like total crap. I mean, the whole race. He messed up his transmission early, and that kind of set him back. Ty Gibbs, I think he has a shot. Michael McDowell, where did he come from? Only 14 out, 33 out. That's, what did you say? That's Allmendinger, and then Cindric 39. So plenty of guys can still point their way in.
Yeah, there's several guys that are just right there and definitely had some good races that I could see it happening. That said, I could also see them starting to fall as the season continues.
Yeah, we're getting to that point now. Only 10 races left in the regular season. I said last night, where did the time go? It feels like we were just sitting down to watch Daytona yesterday, but it's getting down to crunch time. Kind of getting into that summer lull, but that's also the time where, NBC picks up the coverage, and we're getting close to where the playoffs and the point standings, they matter each week. And I talk about them from, the Daytona 500 all the way to the end of the season, because to me, every point still does matter in some way. And it's also a way for me to fill time. Owner standings wise, again, this really only matters for the 48 and the 9. 9 is 15th. The 48 is 16th. Manufacturer standings, Chevy still leads by 39 over Toyota, 56 over Ford. The Toyota slightly creeping in on Chevy. Toyota 5 wins, Chevy 9. Found on Road Dead, a.k.a. Fix or Repair Daily, a.k.a. the Ford Motor Company, with just 2 wins. Moving back to the driver standings, though, Emily, overall thoughts on the standings right now? Anybody really impressing you? Anybody really disappointing you?
I mean, I'm shocked that Chastain is still up there. I'm honestly shocked that Chris Buescher's still up there. I am shocked that Chase Elliott is down as far as he is, even though he's been out for quite a bit. That that changes a lot, but I still think we're going to see a move from Chase and him.
I do too. I just feel like there is no way he misses. I mean, he's been to 3 straight championship Fords, won the most races of anybody last year, but that's NASCAR.
Yeah.
You really never know. Chastain has been really good, really consistent to me. I feel like he's going to have to win a race at some point just to back up all the stupidity he brings. I think he's good for the sport. I do think he's very over-aggressive. Buescher he's been fantastic this year. I mean, he has the same amount of top 10s as Kyle Larson, more than Denny Hamlin, same as Chastain and Harvick, more than Stenhouse and Bubba and Bowman. He's had a really, really good year. RFK as a whole has rebounded. Logano was gone from 14th to 9th in the regular season over just 2 races.
Yeah, but I think these next few weeks, we may see stuff from him.
Logano?
Yeah. I mean, looking forward to Chicago. I don't want to jump the gun. I feel like he's a contender for Chicago.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, it's funny you bring that up because recently, Chicago, obviously a whole new event. Recently, Joey Logano has been the go-to guy for brand new events. Obviously, Larson drubbed the field at Wilkesboro, but Logano was fast early. He won the inaugural race at Bristol Dirt, won the inaugural Busch Clash at the Coliseum. So he is really good at new events.
He's got some kind of road track potential there.
He does.
Road course
yeah, I think Truex is my early pick for that race. Maybe one of my early picks for Nashville.
Do you think that changed after this week?
I think
Sonoma really solidified that for you.
Well, the thing is, Toyota last year on road courses just wasn't good, but they've won the first 2 this year. Now, I think obviously Elliott, Larson, the main 2 guys on road courses. I think Reddick will be up there, but I think Martin Truex right now, he's one of the championship favorites, obviously. And I feel like in NASCAR, we have a tendency to overreact to one win. I feel like every time, and maybe I'm just like way too obsessed with the sport or something, I just hyperanalyze everything. But the announcers always hype up. They always tell like the driver's whole career story after one win. And they always talk so in depth about how this impacted the championship. We all did that with Kevin Harvick last year.
Yeah.
He wins 2 in a row out in the first round after we all picked him to win the championship. So you don't really know, but Truex has been really good recently. I mean, it's hard for me to not pick him and be a favorite at this point.
We'll see. We'll see how it turns out.
We sure will. I think that is all we have for tonight. We're going to talk about NASCAR's venture over to France in Le Mans later in the week. Thanks for coming on the show, Emily. Martin Truex gets his second win of the year. We're still together for the next week, so we will have plenty more videos, podcasts, and a bunch of content out for you. Might try to break some old records. We did some hibachi cooking tonight, so I know that's
it's not
what you
NASCAR
normally see on
here.
the channel, but yeah, plenty of that. And we also sat down with a couple of Chicago residents Saturday night, and there's plenty of YouTube
You didn't
shorts.
See me in the video, but I was there.
You were there. You were there.
Maybe I'm related to those residents.
But yeah, so I've been posting shorts clips from that video, and we'll continue to do so. I'm going to try to post more clips on YouTube Shorts and stuff from the podcast. That's what I'm trying to say, from the podcast. We have some people in YouTube live chat. But yeah, I think that's all we have. So thank you for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe, comment, share if you're on YouTube. If you're on the podcast, make sure that you rate, review, follow, click all the buttons, as I would like to say.
Click them all.
So thank you for coming on the show, everybody. I might do the LeMans show solo, since you weren't really keyed in on all that, but we'll be back together Wednesday. No pre-race show Friday, I guess. I mean, we're gonna have to pre-record some stuff for Chicago, so we might be recording some stuff, but we'll leave the Nashville show up to Friday next week, and then obviously let's kind of go with the flow. I mean, I got a lot of stuff to do. I'm behind because I'm lazy, but there will be shows. There will be shows. There will be content. There will be everything. We will see you guys later. Goodbye. I'm sorry, YouTube live people. I didn't see you.
We were off screen. We have the standings up. Hello.
What does this question say? My eyes are
tired. There's going to be a pre-race show before the Truck Series race at Nashville.
Yes.
Samuel will do that.
Yep. Pre-race shows for all three series.
Yep. Always pre-race, post-race. All the thoughts.
Schedule might be a little odd. I'm going to be gone the whole week after Nashville and before Chicago. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to pre-record probably the pre-race episode for Chicago, and we won't be able to talk about anything that happens after Nashville.
That's okay.
Post-race show for the Cup race at Nashville likely won't be anything. At the most, it'll be like a very short, just because of my schedule. But yeah, pre-race shows for the Truck Series Nashville. It might, you may see a bunch of videos be premiering for next week, because again, my schedule is really crazy. But yeah, this next week should be relatively normal, to answer your question.
Yep.
I don't see any other questions, so I think we're going to end the YouTube live stream there. Thanks for joining. And we'll probably stream Wednesday night as well for the show then. So we'll see you guys then. Goodbye. Should have checked that earlier.